when you look at a concrete truck driving around and you think, that guy's driving around delivering concrete. And then when you start engaging with a concrete company around improving their productivity and efficiencies and things, you understand how complex the process is and the costs involved in it all. So I had no idea when I first started dealing with these guys. We talked to a company who said, we want some tracking for our trucks. So they had no tracking on their trucks. We said, yeah, okay, we'll put some tracking on your trucks. And then we started asking them about their business and finding out more and more about how complex it is to take the orders, coordinate the next day's deliveries based on the capacity of the trucks. And we partner with ReadyMix 360 for their software solution. So we sell that throughout Australia. We've got the exclusive rights for Australia to sell that. And it goes into things like taking the orders, planning the next day. And when you're planning the day, you've got to take into account things like one delivery is 3 cubic metres, which is less than one truck. Another order is 35 cubic metres, which is 5 or 6 trucks worth of concrete. How far away from the plant are they? So you might have a 45-minute drive or you might have a 25-minute drive. How long are they going to be on site for? When do you line the next truck up to turn up and start pouring? Because you don't want a big gap between the last pour finishing and the next pour starting. So you want to have like a 10-minute overlay. But that also is dependent on how they're offloading the concrete. So if you've got 8 cubic metres of concrete and you're putting it into wheelbarrows and wheelbarrowing it around the back of a house, it's going to take a lot longer than if you're putting 8 cubic metres into a concrete pump and it's being pumped out through a pump. So all these things impact the efficiency of the business. And without the technology assisting them to do predictive trip times, even to understand how long it takes to load the truck on average, is it 10 minutes, is it 15 minutes? So there's just so many variables that happen in these businesses that they're doing this on paper, or used to be doing it on paper. And if that guy goes on holidays or leaves, you've got a big hole in your business. Whereas now we're using technology to do that. So ReadyMix 360 helps with taking the orders, planning the next day and making sure you've got the capacity to handle it based on distance from plant, size of job, all that type of stuff. And then it starts looking at things like idle time at plant. So a lot of people don't realise that these trucks are burning something between 4 to 8 litres of fuel per hour idling. So if they're idling for 80 minutes per job at the plant as opposed to 40 minutes per job at the plant, there's a massive saving to be had. So the first customer we rolled this out with, we reduced their idle time in plant from 80 minutes down to 40 minutes, and I think it saved them about $100,000 in fuel alone. And then the productivity improvements that we got through using the technology, looking at cycle times and getting the next truck there on time and all that type of thing, they were able to reduce they had a small fleet, about 12 or 13 trucks, and we reduced it by 2 trucks. So they were doing the same jobs with 2 less trucks within the first 3 months, which then gave them the ability to increase their capacity and start doing more work. So ReadyMix 360 gives you a really good top-down view of your concrete ready-mix business. And yeah, if you want to find out more and all the key features, yeah, reach out and have a chat.